Liverpool's future is changing fast. New captain talks, huge transfer drama, Champions League pressure, and Arsenal ready to hijack Liverpool's dream target. John Aldridge names next Liverpool captain after Virgil van Dijk. Makes sense. Liverpool legend John Aldridge has weighed in on who he thinks should be the next captain at Anfield, with Virgil van Dijk only under contract until the end of next season. With Mohamed Salah and Andy Robertson leaving Liverpool this summer and continued interest from Juventus in signing Alisson Becker, the Reds will need new leaders to step up. Virgil van Dijk is under contract for another 12 months, but there is no guarantee that the Dutchman will stay beyond that point. Alisson, even if he stays this time around, is only tied down until the summer of 2027 too. That means that within the space of little more than a year, Liverpool could lose its entire existing leadership group, therefore needing to find others who can replace those bodies within the squad. Assuming that Ibrahima Konate pens a contract extension, he should be one tasked with doing more as he enters his peak years. Curtis Jones is a similar age, though there is some doubt over his long-term future. And Liverpool legend John Aldridge has put forward another option while speaking to Betting Lounge. "I can see Dominic Szoboszlai as a future Liverpool captain," Aldridge said. "He's had a very good season amongst players who have struggled a lot. I think he has got leadership qualities in many ways. He's young, relatively young, and he's Hungary's captain, so that makes sense." Whoever it is, Liverpool needs those who are at the more experienced end of the spectrum to take on new roles this summer. That is something that Van Dijk has spoken about recently. "You have to ask the question to the guys higher up," Van Dijk told reporters when he was asked about what the plan might be to replace the likes of Salah and Robertson. "The leadership boys are falling apart in terms of players leaving, so players have to step up and see what the guys making the decisions are going to do. But I'm pretty sure everyone has the right intentions to make us, as a club, competitive and hopefully not have a season like we're having this season again." How many points Liverpool needs to confirm Champions League before Chelsea game? Liverpool remains on the verge of confirming a return to the Champions League ahead of next season, with Arne Slot's side hoping for much more after another big summer. Liverpool needs a maximum of 4 points to confirm a place in next season's Champions League, but could secure a spot in the top 5 by beating Chelsea this weekend. A win over the Stamford Bridge side would mean that only Bournemouth and Aston Villa could overtake Liverpool before the end of the season, putting an end to Brentford and Brighton's hopes, no matter how they get on in the next couple of weeks. If Aston Villa overtakes, that won't matter, because 5th place has already been confirmed as enough for a Champions League spot, thanks to the English club's strong coefficient. The only club that could meaningfully still overtake Liverpool if it beats Chelsea is therefore Bournemouth. Shortly after the final whistle is blown in the game at Anfield, the Cherries kick off at Craven Cottage against Fulham. If Andoni Iraola's men fail to win and Liverpool has already got the 3 points earlier in the weekend, that will mean that things are wrapped up for Arne Slot with 2 games left to play. There is a scenario where Brentford might need to lose against Liverpool on the final day, however, so plenty of drama could still unfold during the remainder of the campaign. If Aston Villa wins the Europa League and finishes 5th, that would mean that 6th place in the Premier League is given a Champions League place next season. Because that only comes into play if Liverpool comes above Aston Villa in the standings, it might actually be in Brentford's best interests to get beaten by the Reds to ensure that happens. That, though, will only matter if the Bees are set to come 6th. Heading into this weekend, they are a point behind Bournemouth and face Manchester City on Saturday. The other scenario that could see Liverpool get over the line in the race for the Champions League spots this weekend is the Reds drawing with Chelsea, Bournemouth and Brentford both losing, and Brighton fail to win against Wolves. Paul Merson makes Liverpool and Man United prediction that Gary Neville won't like all day long. Paul Merson has made a Liverpool and Manchester United comparison that goes against the excitement that Gary Neville has felt since last weekend's game between the pair. Paul Merson says Liverpool will finish above Manchester United in the Premier League next season, pointing to last weekend's meeting between the sides at Old Trafford as proof. This year, Arne Slot's side has struggled for consistency, though it will still qualify for the Champions League. That could be confirmed this weekend with a win over Chelsea. And Merson says that even though Manchester United is likely to finish 3rd this season, that doesn't tell the full story of where the 2 Northwest Giants find themselves at the moment. If someone asks me who among Manchester United and Liverpool will finish higher in the Premier League next season, I would actually back Arne Slot's team all day long, Merson told Sportskida. I say that because Manchester United have played only once a week this season, and that's a lot easier compared to what Liverpool went through. Let us go through their players. Senna Lamens has been good, and Benjamin Sesko is now finding some form. Bruno Fernandes is incredible. Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo are shining under Michael Carrick, while Matheus Cunha has been excellent and Brian Mbeumo has done all right. Just look at Liverpool on the other hand. The two centre-backs haven't been good enough. Milos Kerkez has been poor and they missed Trent Alexander-Arnold and haven't covered that position well enough. Apart from Dominik Szoboszlai, none of their midfielders have performed well, and both Alexander Isak and Florian Wirtz have had their own issues. And yet, if they had beaten Manchester United, they would have been level on points. That says a lot, and I believe Liverpool can finish above United next season. Manchester United finishes the season with games against Sunderland, Nottingham Forest and Brighton. Liverpool has Chelsea, Aston Villa and Brentford. Arsenal could beat Liverpool to dream transfer that would make it unstoppable. Liverpool and Arsenal are both being linked with a move to sign a Paris Saint-Germain star who could leave this summer after losing his place in Luis Enrique's favoured team. Arsenal is reportedly poised to make a move to sign Bradley Barcola from Paris Saint-Germain this summer after gathering information on the Frenchman. Barcola could apparently leave PSG this summer after losing his place in Luis Enrique's preferred starting lineup. Barcola formed part of PSG's favoured front three last season as the Parisian club won the Champions League. But the emergence of Désiré Doué has seen him have to settle for a bench role in the biggest games. A host of top clubs are expected to be interested in signing the 23-year-old this summer, including Barcelona and Liverpool. Liverpool will certainly be in the market for attacking reinforcements this summer, with Mohamed Salah leaving the club at the end of the season. Salah's departure will leave a huge hole in the squad to be filled, and Barcola is said to be among Liverpool's top targets to fill that void. However, Arsenal is said to be closely monitoring Barcola, and the Gunners are undoubtedly a very appealing option for any player at the moment. Mikel Arteta's men have challenged for Premier League and Champions League glory on multiple occasions over the last few years, and currently find themselves at the top of the league table and in the Champions League final. Michael Olise would be Liverpool's dream target, but the former Crystal Palace winger is deemed to be unattainable amid the brilliant season that the France international is having with Bayern Munich. Meanwhile, Liverpool forward Federico Chiesa is reportedly set to follow Salah out of the club this summer. Chiesa was viewed as an opportunistic signing by the Reds when he moved to Anfield from Juventus in 2024, but the transfer simply has not worked out. The Italian is a favourite among supporters, but his on-field impact has been minimal, having rarely been trusted by Arne Slot to start important games. Chiesa has started just 2 Premier League games in 2 seasons, and one of those came after last season's title victory had already been secured. Most of his starts have come in the domestic cups, and in total, he has managed 5 goals and 5 assists in 48 appearances for the Reds. Jurgen Klopp's opinion on Michael Owen's Mohamed Salah replacement tip. Talk over who will replace Mohamed Salah at Liverpool next season has increased over the last few weeks, and Michael Owen thinks he knows the man to fill the Egyptian's boots. Everything you need to know about Jurgen Klopp's thoughts about a potential Mohamed Salah replacement. Owen's replacement choice. Former Liverpool striker Michael Owen has identified Jarrod Bowen as the ideal candidate to replace Mohamed Salah at Anfield. He believes the West Ham United winger possesses the specific attributes required to fill the void left by the Egyptian. Salah's imminent departure. Salah is set to leave the club at the end of the month after 9 successful and trophy-laden years. This follows his March announcement that the current season would be his final campaign with the Reds. Klopp's previous praise. Former manager Jurgen Klopp had already voiced his approval of Bowen, once describing him as his favourite player outside of his own squad. Klopp's admiration for the winger dates back several years, highlighting a long-standing appreciation for his talent. What Klopp said. Speaking in November 2021, Klopp said, "I like Bowen a lot. He made his way up from Hull City and took not too long to get there, to show exactly what kind of player he can be in the Premier League as well. A top solution. Owen described Bowen as a brilliant player who would be a perfect fit for Liverpool's attacking system. He suggested that if West Ham were to be relegated, the winger would be his primary choice for the vacancy. West Ham struggle. The Hammers are currently facing a difficult season and find themselves in the bottom three of the Premier League table. This precarious league position could potentially make their star assets more accessible to rival clubs in the summer. Transfer practicalities. Bowen is the current captain of West Ham and is under a long-term contract that runs until 2030. While his age and contract status might usually be obstacles, a potential relegation could lower his market value significantly. Market assessment. Liverpool are currently evaluating various options as they prepare to sign at least one new forward during the upcoming transfer window. The recruitment team is tasked with finding a successor who can replicate Salah's immense goal-scoring output. Endorsement of quality. Both Owen and Klopp have praised Bowen's journey from Hull City to becoming an established Premier League star. They agree that he has consistently demonstrated the work rate and quality necessary to compete at the highest level of English football. Why Liverpool are looking at Yandom Mande and role Jurgen Klopp could play in transfer. A closer look at RB Leipzig's Yandom Mande, who has been linked with a move to Liverpool this summer. A familiar complaint of Liverpool this season has been their lack of pace in the attacking areas. In a campaign that has seen Mohamed Salah's output drop from otherworldly to simply respectable, Cody Gakpo on the opposite flank has struggled to reproduce the form displayed last season en route to the Premier League crown. Alexander Isak, the club's £125 million record purchase, has had a campaign to forget on Merseyside too, with injuries and fitness issues blighting his time so far. Rio Ngumoha, at 17, has offered enough glimpses to suggest he at least has a massive future at Anfield, and Hugo Ekitike was a bright spot prior to the Achilles rupture that wrecked his season and ruined his World Cup dream with France. But with Salah now inside the final month of a ludicrously successful 9-year Liverpool career, attention has turned to just who replaces him and his goals. The theory at Anfield is that Salah is a true unicorn and therefore irreplaceable in a traditional sense. 257 goals to date means only Roger Hunt and Ian Rush have scored more than him in Liverpool's 134-year history. So the idea of another Salah growing on the trees is fanciful. Asked how he intends to get the best out of Isak, who arrived on Merseyside on September 1st after scoring 44 goals for Newcastle United across the previous 2 seasons, Arne Slot revealed that the thinking might have to change when it comes to the right side of the attack that Salah has made his own since 2017. Getting the most from Isak is definitely part of thinking about the Salah replacement, the head coach said last Friday. Because since I have been here, and it is the same at a lot of clubs, it is mainly a left footer on the right and a right footer on the left. I have seen Alex scoring also a lot from crosses which were played from the right-footed, Trent Alexander-Arnold crosses, if you want to call them like that. So that is definitely part of how we are looking at things, but we try to sign the best possible available player who we can afford. Something else which also happens at certain clubs is, okay, that is the best player in the world in that position, let's try and get him. That is not how we work. We try and sign the best possible player who is available for us. One player who has seen his name regularly linked since is RB Leipzig's Yandom Mande. The Reds have scouted the 19-year-old winger during what has become something of a breakout season for him in the Bundesliga. They have likely been impressed. A hat-trick, scored in a 6-0 win over Eintracht Frankfurt on December 6th, made him the youngest player in 60 years of Germany's top division to net 3 goals in the same game, and his star has been on the rise ever since. He has become the breakout star of the Bundesliga this season, easing Leipzig's transition to a new-look attack following sales of Benjamin Sesko, Xavi Simons and Luis Openda, who is on loan at Juventus. Liverpool have a long history of dealing with Leipzig, dating back to their pursuit of Naby Keita in the summer of 2017, when they struck an unusual agreement to land the Guinea playmaker the following year for what was eventually around £52 million. Since then, the clubs have worked on deals for Ibrahima Konate, Dominik Szoboszlai and Fabio Carvalho, while also holding talks around the possibility of sending Harvey Elliott to Leipzig prior to his loan switch to Aston Villa on deadline day. Mande moved his representation to American company Rock Nation earlier this season, and the Echo has been told how the firm are looking at potentially opening up the floor to interested parties, including Liverpool this summer. Talk of fees upwards of €100 million, £86.4 million, have been spoken about for a player who has 12 goals and 8 assists in 31 Bundesliga games this term. And the influential website Transfer Market recently highlighted the strides made by the teenager this year with their valuation models. According to Transfer Market, Mande is the player whose value has increased the most across European football this season, rising from €1.5 million in June of last year, when he was at Spanish side Leganés, to a whopping €75 million at De Roten Bullen. Despite the obvious potential for profit, however, Red Bull's CEO Oliver Mintzlaff recently gave his opinion that Leipzig should not be looking to sell the winger for any fee this summer. "If I were managing director of sport, I wouldn't sell this young player," Mintzlaff told Sky Sport Germany, "no matter what price is called. But we have to have the claim that a player, even if he delivers outstanding performances here, does not leave us after just 1 year." A few years ago, we were in 7th place in the UEFA 5-year ranking. The goal is to get back there. Mintzlaff's role within the Red Bull structure means he can only advise on the decisions made by at RB Leipzig, but an influential voice such as his would carry weight when it comes to listening to offers for Mande. On the flip side, Red Bull's global head of soccer himself, Jurgen Klopp, would be perfectly positioned to advise Mande on the trappings of Liverpool life should things progress later this summer. For now, though, an injection of speed into the Reds' front line this summer continues to be a prevalent theme. A speed of 36 kilometres per hour in a counter-attack against Augsburg ended with him putting more than 3.5 metres between him and the home side's defence, before his composure allowed him to find Antonio Nusa for the assist. It's the sort of electric pace that has been absent too often for Slot's side during this troubled term. Mande's highest rate of knots this term, clocked back in January at 36.3 kilometres per hour, would place him inside the Premier League's top 10 this season, and it's easy to see why he is attracting such attention. Liverpool Premier League clash moved after Aston Villa reached Europa League final. Liverpool now know when they will travel to Aston Villa next week after their Europa League semi-final result was confirmed. Liverpool's Premier League meeting with Aston Villa has been rearranged for Friday, May 15th, after Unai Emery's team secured a Europa League final place on Thursday night. The Villains overcame a first-leg 1-0 deficit to Premier League rivals Nottingham Forest by triumphing 4-0 at Villa Park, booking their place in a major European showpiece for the first time since 1982 in the process. It means Villa boss Emery has now reached a Europa League final with 4 different clubs, after contesting the fixture during spells with Sevilla, Arsenal and Villarreal. And as a result, Liverpool's trip to Villa Park has been rescheduled for next Friday with an 8 p.m. kick-off in Birmingham. The Reds were initially slated to make the trip on Sunday, May 17. However, with Villa now in Europa League final action on Wednesday, May 20th at Tüpraş Stadium in Istanbul, where they will face Bundesliga outfit Freiburg, their penultimate fixture of the Premier League campaign has been brought forward. The match will be shown live on Sky Sports. Liverpool are currently in 4th place in the Premier League and have a chance to extend their advantage over Villa in 5th to 3 points when they host Chelsea on Saturday lunchtime. Villa are next in action on Sunday afternoon at Turf Moor, where they are looking to bounce back from successive league defeats against the Burnley side, who have already been relegated. After the game with Villa next week, Liverpool wrap up their season with a visit from Brentford on Sunday, May 24, with Mohamed Salah and Andy Robertson expected to feature in what will be their final games of their respective 9-year careers with the Reds. Danny Murphy says Liverpool's signing hasn't worked and wants him replaced with Newcastle star. Former Liverpool midfielder Danny Murphy says the club should be looking at Newcastle United's Lewis Hall this summer. Former Liverpool midfielder Danny Murphy says the signing of Milos Kerkez hasn't worked, as he called on his old club to move for Newcastle United's Lewis Hall this summer. Kerkez arrived from Bournemouth for £40 million last June, making him the most expensive fullback in Anfield history. However, it's been a tough year for the defending champions, who have lost 11 times in the Premier League. The Hungary international has been used in rotation with the long-serving Andy Robertson, but has often been preferred in the league, with the left-back making 31 of a possible 35 appearances so far under Slot, with 3 fixtures left to play. Murphy, though, says the jury is still out on Kerkez as he made the case for Hall at Newcastle. At left-back, although Kerkez is a trier and he's improved, is he at the level Liverpool need to win league titles and Champions League? Murphy told bettrades.gr. My feeling is that he's not. He's probably an understudy. He's probably a backup. Now, if you've got 60 games in a season and you're competing in all competitions, you can't just have one. But he's not better than Andy Robertson. When you think of Liverpool in the years gone by, you think of Trent, Alexander-Arnold, and Robbo, Robertson, Trent and Robbo. You know you've got that wonderful attacking ability from both of them. Both good footballers and calm on the ball, and that settles down the centre-halves. I think Konate and Virgil van Dijk have suffered because of the changes in the full-back areas. I think they need to bring someone in who can really compete and play and not be an understudy to Kerkez. I think they need to go and get somebody who's established and of real quality that can come into the team, push Kerkez and probably overtake him, if I'm being honest. The Kerkez signing hasn't really worked. To be honest, depending on what happens with the Newcastle situation, I'm a huge fan of Lewis Hall. I think he's a wonderful player, a brilliant footballer, and when it comes to one-on-one defending, he's very, very good. It's probably unlikely you're going to get him out because it looks like Sandro Tonali might go and Anthony Gordon might go. But if Newcastle do have to sell, and you can pinch him, even if you have to pay a bit more for him, he's still a young man, he's got the Premier League experience, and I think he's been one of Newcastle's shining lights this season. There's a lot of great left-backs out there not worth mentioning because I don't think you'd tear them away from PSG or Bayern Munich. They're at some of the biggest clubs in the world, and you'd like to be able to grab them and take them, but I'm not sure. Liverpool return to action when they face Chelsea at Anfield on Saturday lunchtime. Big changes are coming to Anfield this summer. Who should be Liverpool's next captain? And which signing do you want most? Comment below and stay tuned to Anfield Signal for all the latest Liverpool drama.